the Dolphins. Unfortunately, we got to start this conversation with off that the Dolphins have lost their first round pick this year due to violating league policies, violating the integrity of the game with the Tom Brady, Sean Payton allegations that that everybody called Brian Flores a liar. That's what pisses me off about this. When this happened, you and I talked about this. Brian Flores was telling the absolute goddamn truth, and they hated him for it. And the fans all crucified him like he was some crybaby making stuff up. You got to listen to people, man. He wasn't just going to say stuff to say stuff. Well, the league investigated it, and Miami has lost their 2020. And it sucks that all those people except ownership are gone. McDaniel and Tua got to kind of pay the price for this, but it is what it is. So Dolphins don't get a pick this year. You know what? Now that I think about it, what do they do with that pick?
That's what I was just trying to sit here and think about. Like, are there only 31 first-round picks this year?
Apparently that's what's going to happen. So interesting. The Dolphins, I don't know how many people realize this, but the Dolphins have a huge quarterback problem. I think Dolphins fans are either for or against Tua, but I don't know that they realize what a shaky gamble this whole thing really is. And I know that you had mentioned the possibility of Brady coming to Miami because he tried to the first time, and that's why they lost their draft pick. Do you think that's a possibility? I mean, I know it's a possibility. Do you think that's a realistic possibility?
Do I think it's realistic? Yeah, I think it's realistic because he wants to do it. And, I haven't heard any indication that like Tua is contemplating never playing football again. So I believe Tua will be back. And that'll be the decision he makes. But even still, like, if you have a chance to get Tom Brady with a team that can win right now, then you probably go and get Tom Brady and try to win right now, no matter how much you believe in Tua. Because everybody calls Tom the GOAT, right? Like, so you would think Tua, being a young quarterback, probably thinks of Tom Brady as the GOAT, or at least one of the greatest to ever play. And so there would have to be a tough conversation if they were to do that. But you already tried to get him. Everybody knows you tried to get him. You don't have a first-round pick this year. Might as well make up for it by going and getting the guy that you wanted to bring in, and you lost the first-round pick for tampering. Like, it makes sense to a degree, but then obviously having Tua there complicates that situation. So I'd give it like a 60% realistic, 40% I'm just making this shit up as I go.
Yeah, a couple things about what you said. First of all, McDaniels wasn't there. I mean, it's that deal was. They tried to make it under Flores, which Flores opposed, and that really probably started the unraveling of his coaching career. So I don't know what McDaniels would or wouldn't say because I don't know the guy. I don't know how he would react. But it is a different coach. And I don't have a point with that. I'm just making note because he could be like, sure, let's bring Tom in, or he could be like Brian Flores was and be like, hell no, we're not bringing him in. My biggest thing is Tua was 8-3 as a starter, and I think people have lost. I think some people have lost sight of that. I see just people talking about what trash he is and trash the Dolphins are, and fire McDaniels and all this. And the injuries were very real, and even the Packers game, Tua was playing like he had no idea what the hell he was doing in the second half after the concussion. So Tua's legit. And I wasn't, for 2 years, I talked about Tua didn't belong in the NFL, that he needed to go. But this year, the kid showed me that he can play, flat out showed me he can play. And I don't think it's a fluke. I think McDaniels was the right match for him. I think something he did or said, they worked together, they figured something out, his confidence went up, and he was comfortable, and I believe he has what it takes to be the quarterback of the future for the Miami Dolphins. So I don't see Tom Brady coming in and sitting behind Tua, and I don't see Tua sitting behind Tom Brady. I think that causes really big problems. Now, the caveat to that, and this ties in with what you're saying, is that, I mean, we talk about this a lot. The more concussions you have, the more susceptible you are to concussions. And Tua has had, they say 2, it was 3, concussions this year. They're going to wiggle out of one of them because that's what they do. They try to pretend they didn't happen. And not to mention, we don't know how many concussions he had in college and high school. You know he did. The point is that his concussions were so bad that he is one nasty concussion being away from being done forever. And he's more susceptible to him. He could go the rest of his career and not get one. But it's just weird that he had 3 incidents this season alone. They're on shaky ground. So what do? I mean, they've got Skylar Thompson in there, who statistically looks like dog shit. But watching him play, I was impressed with his evolution over the second half. Who'd they play?
The Bills.
The Bills, yeah. I was impressed with his evolution over the second half. I saw him getting better. I saw him calming down, getting better. It doesn't mean that he's the next Brock Purdy. I don't, what was he, the 7th round pick or something?
Yeah.
So I'm not calling that. I don't know that he's the quarterback of the future. So they got to do something because Teddy Two Gloves ain't in. They're in a horrible, horrible position because Brady brings another rooster into the hen house. Having 2 roosters in the hen house ain't good. That doesn't work, right? But if they don't, then you're taking the chances that you start out 11-1 and Tua goes down, and then you got depend on Skylar Thompson take you the rest of the way. And I don't know nobody knows if he can. So this would be interesting. And I'd also like to throw in that the defense was ranked 24th overall. That ain't good either.
That's why they fired the defensive coordinator.
Right.
You have all those great players on defense. You can't be one of the worst defenses.
Because at times the defense showed signs of brilliance. They were just amazing. And then they would just fall off. So they definitely hopefully the coordinator fixes that. There are good things happening in Miami, but as we've seen with the Colts and Andrew Luck, this quarterback situation, it doesn't matter how good things are, it could ruin the next 5 years. And then they got to start all over.
Out of nowhere. Yeah, exactly. And then just go kind of fall back on what you were saying, the next hit could be the one that ends it. Like I've watched a lot of UFC and boxing in my life. And all the greats, man, all it takes is one bad knockout, and then every fight after that, they get one hard shot and they're out like a light, and it ends their career sooner than they wanted to. Like it creeps up on you, but when it happens, it happens. And that's the realistic that, like, if you're being realistic for Tua, you're playing football. You've only been in the league for 2-3 years. Like you have hoping for a long career. At some point, it could happen. So the Dolphins, if they're going to keep him on the roster, they just have to always be prepared for anything to happen. And like the Andrew Luck situation where you just get a retirement out of nowhere. So for them, obviously, like you said, Tom Brady, whether or not he goes there, probably not, but we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see if one of these top quarterbacks that falls into the second round, again, like a Anthony Richardson or a Hendon Hooker, one of those kinds of guys, if they try to draft somebody higher, if they try to roll with Skylar and develop him behind Tua and just keep him in that system, it'll be interesting. But while you were talking, I had a thought, and I thought, how crazy would this be? But I'll just throw it out there. Since they don't have a first-round pick this year to give up, what if they put a package together of Mike McDaniel and Tua, send them to New Orleans for Sean Payton, and then sign Tom Brady and get their guys anyways?
That would be crazy. I suppose crazier things could have happened, but that would be intense. I don't know. I don't know. I need time to think about that.
Dude, the stories that would be written after that one, media would go crazy.
Yeah, they would. I like McDaniels, but I wouldn't mind seeing Sean Payton in Miami either. So
yeah, that's how I feel. If you're a fan of pretty much any team other than the Chiefs, you're like, yeah, Sean Payton, I'd like that too.
Yeah, for sure.